Alright, let's look at the homework 13.4, problem number 8. Right, it says a gun is fired with angle of elevation 30 degrees. What is the muzzle speed if the maximum height of the shell is 508 meters? Round your answer to the nearest whole number. Alright, so let's do that. Alright, so I kind of already drew a picture. Right, so we were talking about the vertical component. So we're going to look at the vertical component of the initial velocity, right? So only the vertical component here. So it's going to look at like something like that, right? So this is going to be V0. Then you just have to multiply by sine of 30 degrees, which is 1/2. So this is just going to be a V0 over 2. Right, so that's the initial velocity in the vertical direction. Right, so if you look at the acceleration vertical component, that's assumed to be so y double prime of t is going to be due to gravity, so it's going to be downward, so it's negative, and it's going to be g. Right. So if you take the antiderivative, you have a y prime, which is a velocity in the vertical direction. It's going to be negative g times t. G is just a number, so times t. And plus some constant c. But this constant, you find that since initial velocity is v0 over 2, and the c is going to come out to be v0 over 2. Right, so if you want to find a height function, which is y of t, so we take another antiderivative, so it's going to be negative g over 2 t squared plus v0 over 2 is just a number times t. Right, so we want to see if so this guy, the bullet go up, so it's going to go up like this. And then it has to come down, right? Actually, it's going to have a trajectory. So if you look from the side, it goes up and it comes down. So the highest point, the velocity in the vertical component is equal to 0. So we can set this guy equal to 0, right? Then what we get is going to be, let's see, we can, subtract the v0 over 2. We get the negative g over times t is equal to negative v0 over 2. Then we can divide through by negative g, so that the t comes out to be v0. So negative cancel out. You have a 2g. Right. So this is the time when the height is the maximum. So we're going to plug this into the height function. So we're going to say y of v0 over 2g. Right. So this is going to be we have negative 2g over 2, and you have to square this guy. So v0 squared over 2 squared is 4, g squared, right? Plus you have a v0 over 2, which is this guy, times v0 over 2g, right? So we can cancel g on top here and one of the g here. So we're going to have a v0 squared over 4g minus v0 squared over 8g. So it's going to be simply v0 squared over 8g. Right, and we know that this is the highest point, so this we have to set that equal to 508. Right, then we can just solve for v0. So first, I'm going to multiply through by 8g. So we have a v0 squared is equal to 508 times 8g, right? Then we can just take the square root of both sides. We have a v0 is equal to square root of right? 508 times 8 times g. All right, so let's try to find this value here. All right, so I opened up a GeoGebra, so I'm going to say square root of 508 times 8 times 9.8 and hit enter. So it came out to be 199.57, so it's to the whole number, so it's about 200 meters per second. All right, so let's type it in. All right, so we have 200 meters per second. All right, submit for testing. All right, it came back and looks like we got this one correctly. All right, that's it. I hope that this was clear.